Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Clinic Growth Secrets, where we teach you how to get more patients, make more profit per patient, and keep them as long as humanly possible. Today, we have a champion of the cash model on the show with us. He's going to be sharing a lot of goods about his journey on building three successful practices, all cash based, in the model that he follows. And so, you guys are going to get a lot of tactical value from this gentleman today. And so, but if you do get value from the show, we do ask that you pay it forward. Pay it forward to somebody who needs to hear about it. We don't fill your ears full of bullshit ads of stuff that we don't use or we don't just get paid to talk about. We don't do that stuff around here. But we do grow organically. We do a good job. Share the show. And if we don't do a good job, then don't share it. That's how it works as the value exchange. But I think you guys are going to be very impressed. Today on the show, we've got Dr. Mark Romano. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jeff. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to have you, sir. You're a true champion, like I said, of the chiropractic cash model, which is really what we preach around here. And you've really gone deep into the non-therapeutic chiropractic model. And I want to lead with that because I think there's a lot, when I talk to you, there's a lot of passion behind that. So let's start with your journey on how you discovered the model and how you've used it to build your own three practices plus help countless others.
That's a great, great question, Jeff. When we look at the profession of chiropractic, chiropractic started as a profession that gets sick people well and keeps the well from getting sick. Well, if you practice for any amount of time, you realize that statement's not completely true, that there needs to be a word added sometimes. Because if we're being totally honest, not everybody gets well under chiropractic and not everybody stays well under chiropractic. So I think a lot of chiropractors get a bit frustrated at this. Well, because I know I did. Maybe it's me. Maybe I don't believe enough. Now is chiropractic a faith-based profession? So on and so forth. Well, the reality is this. Vertebral subluxations are unbelievably bad because they interfere with the expression of innate intelligence. And there's many different theories and speculations on what the vertebral subluxation actually is. Yes, I prefer the classic definition of Stevenson's, where vertebral subluxation is a misalignment of a vertebra between the one above, the one below, or both to an extent less than a luxation, which is a dislocation, which occludes a foramen, interferes with nerve function, and decreases mental impulse. But I would take that mental impulse even further, and I would say innate impulse in the regards of you can have interference to both the efferent and afferent pathway, which is actually a controversial statement, but we'll tackle that later. So what we can absolutely say that somehow a bone in our spine misaligns and produces interference to nerve tissue. And whether that's interference on the brain and spinal cord, on the brain stem, on the nerve root, to the anterior horn cells, visceral somatic, somatovisceral, there are many theories to that. Big picture, it's interfering with innate impulses, and that's always a bad thing because nothing physiologically can function to its fullest potential within the body. We cannot correlate a vertebral subluxation to a specific symptom, area, or condition, especially if we're talking about brain and spinal cord interference. But what we can say, in every circumstance, under every condition, every human being always lives better and closer to the fullest potential when vertebral subluxations are adjusted. It's the truest statement we can make in chiropractic. We massively speculate when we try to say this symptom is going to go away or that symptom because there are too many other variables. The body is a very complex piece of machinery, equipment, a living being. So there are many things that can go wrong with the body. And I'll also say there are many things that can interfere with the expression of innate intelligence. Vertebral subluxation is the entity that chiropractors have chosen, and chiropractors have gone into massive philosophical and empirical study thereof. So chiropractic started in the realm of physical medicine. D.D. Palmer thought he had the cure for deafness. P.J. Palmer thought he had the cure of everything. And I take no credit away from what our forefathers, our patriarchs and matriarchs have done for us. We must understand this philosophical concept and principle further. So in the 1960s, Reggie Gold came up with the philosophy of, look, vertebral subluxations are always bad, and their adjustment is always good. That's absolutely certain. What happens after that is beyond anybody's ability to predict. So let's focus on bringing to the world the idea that vertebral subluxations are very bad and their adjustment is powerfully good. And that in and of itself justifies the need of every human being in every stage of life to see their chiropractor on a weekly basis, to have their spine checked, because the only way you know a vertebral subluxation is present is to have your spine checked by a chiropractor. Vertebral subluxations have no clinical presentation, and a chiropractor must be excellent at their analysis, and then at the facilitation of the adjustment, and then at the post-analysis to know that an adjustment has actually happened. So every chiropractor, if they're seeing folks on a regular basis, is in some form practicing in the non-therapeutic model. We simply want to make that more clear, that if we're going to reach the world, if we're going to see every human being, 7.8 billion people seeing their chiropractor every week, this is the only way we're going to get there. Because A, vertebral subluxations are always bad, and B, vertebral subluxations are the adjustment thereof is always good.
You can, so for the listeners, you can tell Dr. Mark here, he's got massive passion and why his seminars get so filled up because of the energy. And that's exactly right, is that if the goal is to get more than the common percentage, I think it's been what, like 12 to 15% under care for an extraordinary long period of time, we have to go much deeper.
Yes, 100%. And that deepness is just in the chiropractor's understanding and the ability to articulate that. And then the excitement of saying, I know I'm helping this person live better by helping their body make this powerful adjustment. I think chiropractors need to get more excitement, more pride, and more enthusiasm about how profound the adjustment of the vertebral subluxation actually is, and they wouldn't want to dilute chiropractic with other things.
God, that's good. And that's the conviction is what that's what a lot of them I'm hearing right now is the conviction you have for the message. And then if we talk about the cash model, like I always joke with our clients, right? We talk like, hey man, there's insurance and then there's cash. There's pros and cons to each model. The insurance model, the cons are you don't have to be a great, the con is that you're limited by the insurance. The pro is you don't have to be a great salesman. People just say yes. Okay. And cash model, you can basically do whatever you want. That's the pro. The con, if you don't have conviction, is you have to learn how to actually sell people with the conviction that Dr. Mark brings to the show, you know? And so just talking to you and now understanding the non-therapeutic model, I can tell why you've built successful businesses and now why you've also helped so many others do the same.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, brother. You have to have the conviction, because the reality is this. I'm going to talk about things that chiropractors get triggered by. It's all sales. Yes, I love chiropractic. Is chiropractic more important than me? 100%. Yes. I did not know how to sell. I started a lot of people because I love them and I want to serve them, but I didn't know how I was doing it, and I certainly couldn't repeat it under any circumstance, and
Hmm.
my practice struggled. So I realized I got to go out and I have to study how to truly sell. I had to study the principles of this. I had to understand language patterns. I had to understand when people said no, or when people said I don't have the time, or when people said I can't afford it. So with the insurance model, you have to understand that yes, you work for the insurance company and you are practicing physical medicine. Now, if chiropractic is in the realm of physical medicine, that's fine. Understand that soon it will be absorbed by other types of medical entities. If you practice chiropractic as an alternative to medicine, you're in that field and you will be slowly integrated into that field. And just like the osteopaths and other folks with a physical therapist, and it doesn't mean that you're not helping people, because all those people are helping people. I see a physical therapist. I see an orthopedic. I've had all kinds of surgeries done, so I'm thankful for them. And if that's the route chiropractic should take, fine. Do I think that's the case? Absolutely not. Chiropractic has a philosophy that makes us very different, and it explains the why behind what we do. Our philosophy is very unique. Our philosophy is congruent with what's called basic science. And the basic science of chiropractic is literally these 33 principles. And these 33 principles that were organized by R.W. Stevenson in 1927 give us an understanding not of chiropractic philosophy per se, but of universal basic science. For example, starting with there is a universal intelligence in all matter, continually giving it its properties and actions, and thus maintaining it in existence. Yes, that's the a priori statement of chiropractic 33 principles, and we deduct 32 other principles from there. However, That principle is equally as true in the study of physics, thermodynamics, you know, entropy laws, extropy laws, the laws of confined gases and fluids. So that's the basic science of chiropractic. And if we're going to be congruent, we do not fit into any other profession. We do not fit into any other model. We are separate, we are distinct, and we can be compared to nothing else. And I believe this is the importance of maintaining chiropractic, not as a primary physician, but as a portal of entry service, so we can maintain our unique identity. We are the only people in the world that want to see folks on a regular basis for the correction of one entity, vertebral subluxation. Everybody has them. They're pandemic. And therefore, everybody benefits by having the habit of chiropractic. Do you benefit from going to a chiropractor one time and maybe having an adjustment, which is arguable? I don't think so at all. Any more than you benefit from brushing your teeth one time in your life or drinking a glass of water one time in your life. If we are going to be the best version of who we are in every circumstance, it comes down to our habits. So if we truly want to reach the world in chiropractic, yes, we have to learn how to sell this model. We have to understand sales. We have to understand closing. We have to understand the human psyche. When somebody says, I don't have the time, let me talk it over with my spouse, I don't have the money, what they're ultimately saying to you is you haven't made it relevant on an emotional and logical platform. You must make logical sense. You must make emotional sense. And then at times you must smash limiting beliefs. And
Gotcha.
this is an art.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. And what would you say, like, so you talk about habits, and I completely agree. Like sales, you're never good enough. You got to role play all the time. You got to have objection handled. You got, like, if you're not doing that in all areas, like anyone who engages with a patient needs to role play. CAs, ops managers, objection handling, adding value. So, like, okay, we talk about habits, which I completely agree, because everything comes down to the habits. Our health, wealth, and relationships are all habits.
100%.
What would you say, like looking back, what were some of your secret habits? Maybe not secrets, but what were some of your consistent habits that you're like, man, like these are what separated me from the pack and allowed me to go from one office to multiple?
That's a great question. The goal is never to have multiple offices, believe it or not, Jeff. Um, Very few people teach this model of non-therapeutic straight chiropractic, but yet most every chiropractor I have ever met sees their family every single week because vertebral subluxations are bad. I simply wanted a way to take care of the community and take care of my own family. So I was on a quest. How do I do that? Insurance does not pay for the service. I get it. So I bowed out of the insurance game in 1997.
Nice.
Yeah. And did I struggle? Yes, I struggled. When people told me things, I believed them. And that was a mistake. When they said I can't afford it, when I said I don't have time, I worked 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 5 years with a box on my wall. Pay the most you can afford to pay, come in every week. The public didn't understand that. And I was trying to simply get this principle, this ideal to the world in its purest form possible. You see, I'm not a, you know, righteous person. I just love chiropractic and wanted to bring it to the world in a way that I truly believe my forefathers had in mind, or maybe even BJ's Utopia when he talks about that. So I struggled a lot, got laughed at a lot, made fun of a lot. I still get made fun of to this day. I don't care. I am on some levels an innovator. How can I take these ideals and make them pragmatic? So every day, it's not very hard. I love chiropractic. I love people. I love bringing something to their lives. So when people come in, yes, we had to practice language patterns all the time. You are absolutely right. And people say, well, now you're using scripts. And let me tell you, everything's a script. Now the question
Amen.
is, yes, is that script sincere? There are times I see people, and when we communicate, as you know, Jeff, we communicate probably 7% by our words, 38% by our tonality, 55% by our body language. And if these things don't line up, it creates cognitive incongruence. People recognize something is off. If people are simply memorizing scripts and they don't have head and heart knowledge of that, yes, it's a massive turnoff for me too. So one of my biggest concern was, if I simply memorize this, am I being inauthentic? And the answer is yes, if it doesn't resonate with you. Now, anytime we become what we choose to become through our habits. So we want to pick those habits very wisely. We are constantly changing, and what we want to do is evolve for the better. See, and to do that, we must become it. So if I see a quality about you that I really like, that I really enjoy, that I find engaging, that I find charming, that I find alluring, I want to learn that quality and then become that quality. So you want to, because everything's a script. You're repeating yourself whether you realize it or not. You want to make sure it's the most effective at that moment in time. So you must first learn and understand the psyche and the language patterns, and then you must become it. If you were like right now off the hip, give me like anytime somebody mentions something the first time we go for the close, that's not an objection. It's a complaint. It's not an objection until they say it 2 or 3 times. And we loop things from the close back to the sale into the close again. I'm sure you know what that means.
Yes, sir.
Give me an objection in chiropractic right now, and I know you deal with this all the time. Throw me an objection, and let's pretend I heard it 2 or 3 times.
Cool. Let me think here. So, yeah, Doc, I think what you presented is great. You know, I just got to go home and talk to my husband about it.
I totally understand, and more than likely, it was your husband that told you to come in here. Let me ask you this question, Jeff. What if your husband says no?
Um, I'm not sure. I guess like I probably need to like consider like all his whole thoughts on it, and you know, I maybe would still do it. At the end of the day, it's my body, but I'm not
Okay,
sure. Like he helps with the finances.
sure. So basically, what you're saying, what it comes down to, is the financial commitment. Is that correct?
That's definitely, yeah, that's definitely part of it for sure.
Okay, totally understand. The beauty of this system is this. Everything that we've done in this office is to give you the highest quality service at the most reasonable price that we possibly can. And that is why we only charge $100 per visit, which is really going to break down to about $3.50 a day. We have the 7-day a week availability. Believe me when I tell you, 2 weeks from now, you and your husband will wish started sooner.
Love that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, yeah, of course, there's other ways we can go to. That's just off
You,
the hip.
no,
But
you're the Jordan Belfort of Cairo. That was beautiful straight line selling right there. The beauty of
thank you.
this, like, oh, so good. This is like just
Thank
spot
you.
on. Couldn't have been
You
better.
know, thank you. And brother, let me tell you, I love Jordan. I love Grant Cardone. I think
Love those guys. Grant's
I
one of
do
my
too.
guys. Oh yeah, love all those guys.
Jordan saw, because I teach the straight line. When he saw my platform, he said, "This is the best conversion of the straight line I've ever seen for one single profession."
You were like, it sounded like I was talking to Jordan himself on that. Like, and if you listeners, if you guys don't know the straight line selling model, Jordan Belfort, I mean, definitely go home and check that out because like, and then go back and listen to the show and you'll be like, wow, Dr. Mark really spit that to a T.
Bro, I love it. And Jordan has a great book, The Way of the Wolf. I
Yep,
definitely recommend reading
best
that.
book.
And Jordan, the movie is past is controversial. There's no doubt. He came up with a massive genius. So look at the work. As people criticize D.D. Palmer for being a fish farmer and going to a psychic and having a psychic reading. They forget it was a very much a spiritual time in that time from the United States to Europe. But yet, no matter what DD did or his good or his bad points, you can't deny the amazing discovery that has changed the lives of so many in humanity. And I say the same for Jordan Belfort. Yes, he's a human being. He has his faults. Look at the greatness of what he discovered. Study it and use it so you can reach more people. The reality is this: if you have to have a system set up that's so good, at such a grand slam offer, that you would make the decision for that person in a second because you know how much better their life is going to be because of what you do.
God, amen to that, man. And that's where this the certainty conviction comes down though, because everyone's like, oh my gosh, like sales is sketchy. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's only sketchy if you don't believe in your shit. You know what I mean? So at the end of the
Or
day,
you're
if you
doing something sketchy.
yeah, and you do something sketchy, like you're either charging way too much and you're just like not delivering on the value, and you know that, so you're feeling unethical. And like at the end of the day, like when people talk about like pricing too, like I mean, Cardone talks about this, dude. Like pricing's a myth. You know, it's like if it's $1,000, they're going to complain. If it's 2 grand, they're going to complain. If it's 3 grand, they're going to complain. So you don't want to gouge people, but you also don't want to short yourself in the process just because of fear.
100%. 100%. And if you feel a little nervous, that's good.
Right.
Yes, 100%. And I wish, and I've talked with Grant Cardone. I love Grant. I love Jordan. Grant frustrates me because he don't like Jordan, whether it's because of the movie or because of the past. And Grant's gonna pass too. Now, Grant's book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, really hit me hard, and I loved it because my whole life I've always had a bit of an obsessive personality. People just said to me, Mark, there's something wrong with you. You need help. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, there's something wrong with me. I'm still going to do what I do. But what Grant did in the 10X rule and Be Obsessed with Be Average, anybody who's doing anything on a level of greatness is massively obsessed with that. I want to
100%.
be obsessed with chiropractic. I want to be obsessed with my kids. I want to be obsessed with my wife because I want to give them the best of who I am as a person.
God, man, that's so good. Be obsessed or be fucking average, dude. It.
Yes,
That
100%.
that's it. That's it. And I think that there's like here's what happens though is people try to pull you back to the middle.
Yes,
they're like, oh, dude, you're going too hard. Oh, you're
yes,
spending too much time. You're working too
yes.
many hours. It's like I don't know anybody that's ever done anything great in a sport, in a profession, in business, in life, in anything without being fucking obsessed. You can look
You better
around.
believe it. Amen. You better believe it. Grant Cardone says there's four things that you better prepare for on your road to greatness. I'm going to say five things. I added to it. I'm a plagiarist, Jeff. I'm a plagiarist. Okay. So please understand, I take people's work, I make it better. That's what I do. I take people around me, I make them better. I'm not sitting here making people doing this, doing that. I haven't made anybody, but I've made a lot of people better. And Grant talks about, okay, the key to any level of success is attention. When you first start to get attention, the next step is going to be you're going to get criticism, which is what you just said. Hey,
Yep.
man, I'm your friend. You know, I'm just saying, you're a little bit overboard. People are starting to talk, which is actually a good thing, by the way. The next thing is you're going to get haters. You're going to get people say, who do you think you are? Man, what's the matter with you? You're all over the place. And then, if most people quit there, if you can push there through there, the fourth part of that, when attention, criticism, haters, then you're going to start getting admiration. And that admiration will be like, bro, you know what? Respect, man. In and out. You show up every single day. And then here's my fifth. This is what I add. You keep pushing through that, you're going to build a massive culture. That means just your name is going to change the chemistry of the room and make people live on a higher level closer to their potential.
So man, that's unbelievable. I was taking notes actually during five things you added there, Cardone plus one. That's so
Yes.
good. That's so good. I love doing that too. I would say like looking back on my own sales journey, like Cardone and Belfort, my number one, number two for sure. I mean, they're just like the level of conviction on their own programs is just unmatched. Like you could, and that's the thing about selling that I try to get our docs to understand, and you clearly do, is like all objections are the same. It's just
All the same.
it's all the same. They're just not there yet, dude. The belief is just not there yet.
100%, 100%. Now, I'm going to say this, and Jordan says this: all sales are the same. We're always going to start with an open, and your open is anywhere you are in the world. This is why I dress the way that I do. Now, am I perfect? Have I made mistakes? Yes, I've made mistakes. I fell hard, brother. I fell hard. And the thing that I love about our mentors is that their story is a story of redemption. That everybody's going to make mistakes, and we can always improve. And we hear all the time how rock bottom has created more legends than anything else. So when we look at our open, how are you out in your community? How are you everywhere you go? How you answer the phone? And now we have that straight line that leads to a close. And as you know, there are two types of close. There's a transactional close when we go to Walmart or we go to Dollar General. We know what we want. There's not a whole lot of interaction. We buy it, we go home. Maybe there's an upsell at the end. Did you find anything you want? Do you want products that go with this? Which is extraordinary if you're dealing in the retail world. What we're dealing with and why people need you so much is we're dealing with influential sales. So Jordan Belfort talks, okay, and I've broken down the consultation into three categories. The consultation do start with the intro. The chiropractor is asking questions and speaking maybe 10 to 20% of the time. Then you have the body, which is the actual sale that the chiropractor is speaking 100% of the time. And what you're trying to do is accomplish five things: create emotional certainty about you, your product, in your office, and lower the action threshold where people are ready to buy, and if necessary, raise the pain threshold. Then we're going to make a transition into the close. Now, we want to make sure we keep things always going back to the line because people are going to go off the line when they start talking. And what you're doing when they're talking is, one, you're creating rapport. Second, you're gaining information. And then third, you're always coming back to the line, guiding them. So then when we go through the body, it should only take about 5 to 8 minutes tops before we get to the first close. The first close, and this is going to be bold here. The first close, because a lot of times chiropractors don't know when they're in the sale or in the close. But here is the definitive point. The definitive point is where I say, okay, at this point, we take our potential new members through the different payment options. Does it make sense to do that right now? And they're going to say either, yeah, they're either going to be on the edge of the seat. This is the best thing since sliced bread. I can't wait to hear it. Or they're going to say, and I've never had this happen, but it could. They're going to say no. And if they say no, great. Now we're going to ask for their guidance. Okay, sure. What would be the next best step for you? You are literally getting permission to close them. So now we close them. And, I have 4 different fee systems. I only go through one at a time. Everything in my office is designed for making chiropractic the habit that you need in your life. So we have a bank draft system, $100 a month. Come in as much as you can possibly get here. First 3 months, as much as possible. I see my chiropractor 3 to 5 times a week to get checked because I don't know what I'm subluxated and I can't adjust myself. And boom. Now, whatever they say, doesn't matter what they say. A lot of people sign up from this, but let's just say, let me think about it. Let me talk with my spouse. Whatever the case is, it's a complaint. It's not an objection. It's a complaint. So we're going to loop it back into the sale. Maybe they're not at a 10 because the emotional 10, the 3 T's, that's going to be something that's going to be very dynamic. Nobody stays there. So how we loop it, very gentle. It's like, look, I hear what you're saying. The beauty of this program is this. You come in on a regular basis. You can get here as much as you possibly can. You have 2 chiropractors, 3 offices, 7-day a week availability. And the So now I've looped it back into the sale. The beauty of this program is this. You come on in here as much as you can. The fee never changes. 2 chiropractors, 3 days a week. And let me ask you this. Does the service make sense?
Yes.
What did I ask them without asking them?
You basically ask them, are we getting closer to the full emotional 10? Where are you at now? Does it make sense? Because you're looking for the responses. Oh yeah, it totally makes sense. Or yeah, I'm tracking with you because you want to know how much to reloop.
Very close. You're so close. You're so close because that's what we're going to. I'm going to give you the step before that. What we're going to is we're not trying to figure out whether or not a 10 on you, the service of chiropractic or your office. But before we can get to that, what I said without saying it is, money aside, do you like it?
Yeah.
Money aside, do you think it's good? See, because you never say money aside. Just like you say, Jeff, you got to pay to play in this world. We want a simply even or as close to an even exchange as possible. Now, people could say, "Oh, $100 a month, Mark." Okay, yes, because I made it a grand slam deal. I believe you need to make it so ridiculously obvious that people feel silly for saying no. Okay, that's my intention there. You see. So, with that being said, does the idea make sense? I'm saying money aside, do you even like it? So if they say, yeah, it's okay. Okay, well, judging by that tonality on a scale of 1 to 10, they're probably 5. Now I'm going to focus on the service. You know what? Awesome. So I'm going to match their tone. And I'm going to get a little more excited. The beauty of this program is this. I've been in this location for 31 years, seeing people 2-3 times a week, some of them for 31 years. And when you come in here, you're going to have somebody who's super excited to serve you the highest quality chiropractic humanly possible every single time that you're here. And the beauty of this program is you're going to get that every time that you come in here. Believe me when I tell you, 2 weeks from now, your only regret is that you didn't. And notice I'm changing my tonality because I'm in different parts. When I'm talking about chiropractic, when I'm talking about my experience, when I'm talking about the office, I'm using a tonality of certainty. I'm extremely certain that you never ask for money because that can sound disingenuous when you ask for money with that much level of confidence and certainty. So what we use is the tonality of being disarming. We slow down, we space out the words, and we are reassuring. And the reality is this: we are all these things because they're 100% accurate with what's going to happen. Everything about chiropractic is service after the close. Everything.
Everything, dude. God, I feel like you just gave the biggest master class of all time. I think I'm going to call this episode either a sales master class or be obsessed or be average chiropractic edition, one of the two. Man, this has been great. I think that we also should maybe explore doing a sales master class together. I think you'd be
Let's do it,
perfect.
man.
I think
I would love it.
I think
Yes.
you'd be perfect for it, honestly. So keep an eye out for that, guys. You one thing I know we're a little over time, but this is okay because I think you and I could talk about this stuff forever, literally.
Forever.
Um, you have some programs that I want to just highlight real quick. You do seminars, you do coaching. Can we spend about 5 minutes on that and where the listeners can find you if they want to learn more and really just dial in their processes?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. The one thing I really want to discuss is the international organization I happen to be chairing. It's called the Chiropractic Trust. And we actually have a seminar coming up at another non-therapeutic chiropractor's office, the Modest Salmatulidis up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That's going to be October 19th. We still have seats available. It is in his office. There'll be about 6 or 7 speakers, all practicing in this model. The chiropractic, if you don't have a national organization, you simply don't exist. This organization represents the non-therapeutic model of chiropractic, and it gives credibility to that model. It's a place of learning for that model and developing yourself, and it's also a place of fellowship where folks can come and be around other like-minded chiropractors. Um, and yes, I am available as well for coaching. 2 of my 3 offices that are designed for learning, of course, have apartments where chiropractors, if they're working with me, can live, and if they're visiting, they can stay. And you can see it live and in action, which I think is powerful and profound because you want to make sure everything I'm saying, I'm doing, that my words are congruent with my actions. Now, I do have an online training course that is on Lightspeed, as is Grant Cardone's, and that's ntsceinstitute.com. We are revamping that a bit right now, but we expect to take that to the next level come next month or so.
Love it, guys. I'll make sure to put these links out here in the show notes for you guys to check out Dr. Mark and his work. Did you say Lightspeed? That's Brad Lee's platform, isn't
That's
it?
Brad Lee's platform. I've been on that platform, good golly, for about 5 or 6 years. You know, it's one of the best kept secrets in chiropractic. Regardless of how you practice, everything that we're talking about right now can be found in very short 3 to 8 minute videos, hundreds of videos from everything from selling, closing, marketing, to having a CA, and to opening up another office.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I'll link the show notes out, and then guys, if you guys got value today, as usual, make sure number one you check out more of Dr. Mark's work. I'll link out his socials. We got the Institute. We got his trust all linked out there. If you guys are interested in attending his event, that will be in there for you as well. And keep an eye out for the masterclass, though, man. I mean, I think we're on to something here in terms of like what we could do. So I'm excited to continue the conversation, Dr. Mark. I appreciate you being here. If
Thank
you
you
got
for having me, Jeff. This is awesome, man. I love your platform.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, man. Guys, you got value, pay it forward. Hit that share button, send it to somebody who maybe needs to work on their clothes, or maybe they're all insurance and they want to transition to cash and they need to up their skills a little bit here, man. As Cardone says, he's like, I never get nervous, baby, because my skills are so fucking sick that I don't get nervous, baby. That's how you got to practice, man. I remember I used to
Yes,
get so nervous in sales, but now it's like I'm in the game, baby.
I'm in
So
the game.
that's what you got to do, man. It's all
Yes,
about
give me
bettering yourself.
opportunities to change your life, opportunities to make people better. Get excited. Absolutely, bro.
Man, I appreciate you, dude. Guys, pay the fee. Look forward to see you guys next time. Dr. Mark, appreciate you being here, sir.
Thank you, brother.